Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something I find absolutely fascinating, the psychology of quiet wealth. We're going to decode the deliberate, highly practiced behaviors of people who have serious money, but you'd literally never know it. If you've ever wondered how genuine, lasting wealth behaves when nobody's watching, well, let's explore this together. Okay, I want you to paint a picture in your mind for a second. You probably know someone exactly like this. You know, they show up to the neighborhood cookout wearing a faded polo and like a pair of beat-up boat shoes. They pull up in a 10-year-old Volvo that probably smells faintly of golden retrievers, right? And here's the thing. They never name drop a luxury resort. They never try to ostentatiously pick up the check, and they never, ever bring up money. They're just super easy to talk to and, honestly, completely unremarkable in every material sense. And then, somehow, you find out their net worth is actually somewhere north of $4 million. Crazy, right? It causes this immediate cognitive dissonance. Like, wait, that guy? But here's the real secret. This isn't an accident. It's not just passive modesty. This understated reality is deeply intentional. It's actually a highly refined way of moving through the world that the genuinely wealthy have perfected across generations. So, let's break down exactly how they do this. We're going to cover 4 key areas today: mastering the material world, the art of social discretion, playing the long game, and finally, the real secret, the blueprint. All right, let's jump right into part 1, mastering the material world. There is such a stark contrast in behavior when it comes to material things. For folks who are, let's call it, performing wealth, price is kind of woven into every single conversation. They literally can't help but mention what the vacation cost or how much that kitchen renovation ran over budget. For them, the price is the whole point. But quiet wealth, they operate under a completely different code. Mentioning what something costs is basically considered graceless because it implies the money is still significant enough to worry about. Think about how people act at a restaurant. Someone performing wealth might make a grand production out of the menu prices. But for the quietly wealthy, a menu is just a list of food. They just order what sounds good. The price column doesn't even seem to register. And it's not a performance. It is genuine indifference. We see this exact same dynamic play out in personal presentation, too. New money tends to lean toward large logos, maximalist aesthetics, making sure everything looks incredibly brand new. Old money takes a totally different approach. Their wardrobe does not announce itself. It's all about exceptional, tailored fit. So a plain navy cashmere crewneck might look identical to a fast fashion sweater to a stranger on the street, but they aren't dressing for strangers. They're dressing for the people who already know. And the same goes for their homes. They aren't staged to look like shiny showrooms. They are flawless, sure, but they're curated over decades. We're talking 30-year-old furniture that has outlasted a dozen modern design trends and still looks exactly right. So silence on costs, perfect fit with zero logos, being completely unbothered by menus, and having those flawless, curated homes, these aren't just accidental quirks. These material masks are highly specific visual cues. They're meticulously designed to let wealth simply disappear from the conversation, just fading into the background so these individuals can focus entirely on what actually matters to them. Which brings us to section 2, the art of social discretion. Socially, it usually starts with this incredibly common question, right? What do you do for a living? We all ask it, but the quietly wealthy use this classic social prompt very strategically to minimize relationship friction right out of the gate. Instead of dropping some massive job title or naming a prestigious firm, they'll offer something super vague. Something like, I'm mostly retired, though I stay busy. Or, I'm a small business owner. The source material shares a really brilliant example of a guy named John. John built a 7-figure net worth through 30 years of disciplined investing. And you know what he tells people? He just says he's a small business owner. It's not because he's ashamed. It's because he learned a long time ago that describing his wealth precisely changes literally every single relationship it touches. This intentional vagueness completely avoids the friction of comparisons, judgment, and, let's be honest, eventual requests for money. When they're interacting with others, you'll notice folks who are signaling status tend to broadcast their recent wins and work accomplishments. It's just an endless cycle of self-promotion. But those with nothing left to prove take the exact opposite approach. They ask really good, specific questions about you. They actually want to know what you think. Treating self-promotion as vulgar is a learned cultural grace. When you already have everything you need, you have the ultimate luxury of being genuinely interested in other people. And you see this exact same discretion in how they give back. Their generosity is completely invisible. They'll pay the tab before you even knew there was a bill to pay. They'll send unseen introductions that magically open doors for you without ever asking for a favor in return.
Or they'll remember a passing detail you mentioned 6 months ago and quietly make it happen behind the scenes. It's never about getting credit. It's just an extension of the exact same strict discretion they apply to everything else in their lives.
All right, section 3, playing the long game. Look at how they handle their professional relationships. Using the same mechanic for 10 years, the same accountant for 22 years, an attorney for 30 years. New money often shops around constantly, right? Always looking for the newest or cheapest option. Old money stays put. They aren't optimizing for cheap, they're optimizing for trust and quality. They've been around long enough to build these relationships into absolute institutional reliability over decades, which ultimately saves them countless hours of stress. This fundamental focus completely shifts over time. A material focus is all about what things cost to get, but a quiet, experiential focus is entirely different. When the quietly wealthy share what matters to them, it's about a sabbatical they took 15 years ago that changed their worldview, or maybe a teacher who completely shifted how their kids saw the world. Because they've already owned the things, the thrill of acquisition is long gone. So their focus is entirely on the lasting satisfaction of what remains after the things stop mattering. And this brilliantly illustrates how they handle the ups and downs of life itself. The magic word here is equanimity. That's mental calmness and evenness of temper, especially in a difficult situation. Think about it. When the stock market drops 3%, most people panic. They check their accounts compulsively. It basically ruins their entire week. The quietly wealthy, they treat that 3% drop with absolute equanimity. They react the way an experienced sailor reacts to weather. They note it, maybe adjust the sails slightly, and then just go about their day. Because they've seen enough cycles to know that a market dip isn't an emergency. It's just Tuesday. Let's bring this all together in section 4, the real secret, the blueprint. So here's the crucial point. Everything we've talked about today is not just some fun parlor trick for spotting the rich guy at a party. It's a behavioral blueprint that absolutely anyone can adopt today. Seriously, you do not need millions of dollars in the bank to start practicing these highly effective, equanimous life skills. If we map these behaviors directly to their outcomes, the blueprint becomes crystal clear. First, adopting discretion immediately minimizes friction and jealousy in your relationships. Next, committing to long relationships builds profound, unbreakable trust in your life. Adopting an experiential focus trains you to value the memories and lessons that actually remain, rather than fleeting material goods. And finally, practicing unbothered equanimity allows you to stay completely calm when the inevitable storms of life hit. The quietly wealthy use these behaviors because visible wealth and erratic reactions compound into major problems over time. Adopting this blueprint prevents those problems from ever starting. Which leaves us with a choice. Which habit of the quietly wealthy are you going to adopt today? Are you going to practice more social discretion? Are you going to shift your focus to experiences over things? Or maybe you'll start building that unshakable, sailor-like equanimity. The choice is entirely yours, and the benefits start literally right now. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. Start building your quiet wealth today, and I'll catch you next time.